second part was a bit dangerous. If one of my students had a similar idea, I say every time, keep you galvanically distanced from a device what is in the grid. Because if that has a failure and this 220 volt goes to your body, you will be dead. Radio transmission with little batteries, everything is secure. Just warning for everybody else who have got now nice ideas. Yeah, I'm a realist. I'm a technician in the art school, and so.
You must be aware of what kind of ideas could come up.
Exactly. Sorry for that.
I will keep. I will let people think that.
Yeah, but thank you very much. It was great performance, both these pieces. I enjoyed it much.
Maybe can you a little explain about history of your very special musical instrument? How you started to develop this, and how it from what ideas it started actually.
Yeah, I was born. But it's hard to know where to start exactly. But as you might know, I'm part of the Surrealist group in Stockholm, which originated already 1986, and we immediately had contact with different other groups around the world. And in the beginning, especially the one in Chicago, and I went to Chicago and met one of the members, Hal Rammel, who is an inventor of instrument and a graphic artist and a pinhole photographer and many other things. And his instruments inspired me to begin to create my own instruments as well. And after having made different kinds of instruments, I decided to make something like a one-man orchestra, one-man band, with different principles. And I also discovered the contact microphone, which is the one that I swallowed. It's a contact microphone. And under here are also two contact microphones. I discovered how useful these are to amplify very, very small sounds. And so in the beginning I was planning a really big instrument, but I realized it's very unpractical. But using contact microphones you can make a very small one-man band with lots of different kinds of sounds without having big resonators and so on. So I made this. The first version was called the Whalefish, which things like a bow and other different kinds of playing techniques. And but then I realized it was a board, actually part of the resonant board of the piano, that had a glued microphone on it, glued contact microphone, and everything I put on the board was amplified. So I began to collect lots of different objects to use with this instrument. So I used it for several years, and it was after some time it was really worn out. So I began to make other instruments that could be used on the table, because this had like a strap behind my neck, and it was like a table in itself with legs and everything. So I simplified it with actually this system to clamp it to a table and having just a plain surface. So I made 2 of these called platforms. But in this case, I had a few weeks in Palermo, so I decided to bring nothing except some strings and tuning pins and a bow, nothing else. And these strings are leftovers from my other trade as a piano technician. So there are piano strings, also 2 guitar strings and capper string, actually from very old kind of piano. So otherwise I found everything on the street, of the streets of Palermo. Everything, all the objects, during like 2 weeks. So it's possible to make this system in a short time, and if you have the eye for things that you can make noise with. So this is a premiere for this instrument, actually.
Is this also from the street of Palermo?
Yes.
It looks very surreal. I would expect it on the street of Helsinki.
Yeah.
Stockholm. Wow.
So my second question is actually about your music. So first question is sub question is that you name your sounds music or not? Is it music or not for you?
For me, it's music.
Okay.
It is.
How you think about your music? How you create? How you generate your music? Can you maybe explain a little?
It's based on improvisation, and I also started to improvise about the same time as I started to be engaged in the Surrealist movement. Because also one of the original ideas in Surrealism is automatism, which could be called like improvisation also. It's not the same thing, but it's quite related. Because it's not pre-planned and it's not with any preconceived ideas. But of course, when you play, when you have an instrument to play with, even if it's a new instrument, even if you made it yourself, you need to learn how to play it. And I learn most of the things I learn by performing, actually. So, because it's also that I don't want to be bored, I want to be surprised myself, and then improvising with the new objects. When you have a collection of objects, there's always new combinations and new things you can do, using surfaces, combining different tools and so on. And you find new things, they break, like this egg slicer broke during playing. Things fall off and things get stolen and so on. People also give me objects sometimes that they think, you should play with this. sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't.
So your primary trigger in your music is sound. Understand? Like, so sound, what you can produce, what is you start from some kind of possibility of object. What kind of sounds object can produce?
A little bit both, actually. Sound is because of experience. Like I have the experience of different materials, of different playing methods. Like if I use a stick on a surface, if I have a certain angle, it makes this kind of friction, and using different lengths and of the thing I hold produces different kinds of sounds and so on. So this is an experience that I can use. If I find this on the street, I can understand maybe what I could do with it. But I'm not completely sure. So, and I also want to surprise myself with using it. But not all. It's a mixture between some kind of conservatism to use things that I know and to use things that I don't know.
I get the impression that it's very tactile aspect of it. At least that's my maybe very strongly kind of a tactile feeling when looking at it.
Yes.
When experiencing the work, that seems to be almost as important as the sound aspect.
Exactly, yeah. I was going to say that. No, because that's why I'm a bit bored with electronic music, because it's not tactile enough.
Right.
I like to use materials with my hands. I like the feeling of brick. No, this is not brick, but no, this is material.
Ceramic.
This is what you put on the roof.
Ah, yeah.
I like to hold it in my hands and the different kinds of sounds that it makes. So
have you also experienced to play with eyes closed?
Oh, no.
So for to have this tactile aspect till.
No, I didn't try that. That's an interesting question.
Hans?
Yeah, my question is, what makes this music surrealistic? Because I think I have seen electronic music like this. Is a lot of people or artists using objects and pieces. So if somebody else use objects and pieces, it is then automatically surrealist or not?
No, I think it depends on the attitude. It's if you have an attitude of poetic attraction, that's a surrealist state.
So the poetic attraction.
Yeah, to the things you do.
Yeah,
and nothing else. If that's the driving force.
What makes it different from what sound artists, as Hans already mentioned, sound artists are doing similar things, and also performance artists are doing just an activity that makes sound, and what would be different?
Yeah.
Or is there any difference?
It could be a difference in attitude. It depends on the person. I've seen many composers and improvisers too using objects.
You will learn one.
Yeah, there are lots of them, and some make compositions with orchestra and objects and so on. Lots of different things. but then of course, it could. It's hard to tell. There's no method that puts a stamp on this is the realist and so on. You can't rely on the method.
Okay, that means we can say if, for instance, in case you will allow to give this instrument to another artist with exactly the same setup. So, and if the other artist is doing with something, it might not be surrealistic.
No, for example, a friend of mine knew my instruments and my playing, and said, "But why don't you sample all the sounds? Then you have them in electronic control, then you can compose with them." So I'm completely not attracted to that, because that was his method of making music, with sampled sounds. But for me, there's no attraction in that at all.
Yeah. Because
I lose this tactile feeling, this surprise that I can get. And the variation, there's so much more variations in this object.
But can your friend do surrealist music with purely from samples, or it's impossible?
It's not impossible.
So make a prefabricated, interesting narrative on tape, quotation mark tape today, of course.
But how often does it happen that you take something and you don't really know what to do with it, and you do something completely different, or how fixed? Yeah, and that sometimes it's logical, but next time you would take this little coin and you would start to, I don't know, that you don't even know what will come with this.
Yes. Also, there are so many things that I can't really have an overview on it. So sometimes I suddenly want something and I don't see it, so I take something else. And sometimes I just see something and with an impulse I take it.
Yeah, and then it's just sort of you find out what comes. And then my second question as well, because I was thinking and we were thinking about it, that how would you differentiate, or what is the automatism and improvisation? You just said also that they are not the same, but they are linked.
Yes, I mean, because there could be improvisation with an automatistic way of doing it, but there are lots and lots of different improvisations. Most of the music cultures have improvisation in them, all over the world, even classical music. So most improvisation traditions are a tradition. They have a certain way of improvising, and when to improvise and how to improvise, with scales and with how long and so on, how loud, and in relation to other musicians and so on. There are lots of traditions that you follow, so you know if is this rebettica, or is it jazz or blues or another kind of improvisation? Is it Baroque improvisation?
Yeah, different principles, but how would you get to the automatism then? What is that method for you?
I'm not sure I'm improvising with automatism all the time. Because I mean, automatism is maybe similar to a trance state, in not completely, but it's maybe related to this in the sense that it's totally independent on other things.
Some flow.
Yeah,
So
flow is a popular term.
psychologists say flow for that.
Mm.
Because maybe sometimes if I think about maybe I have a different imagination of automatism. So that automatism is that you have something to learn and you don't have control about that, but that is exactly that what maybe this contemporary improvisers want to avoid. They want to avoid automatisms.
Absolutely, yes.
And in this way, automatism, I think, in some way, jazz improvisation is some sort of automatism because you have learned how to follow the scales and rules, and then you don't have to consciously think about how to do it, but it works from itself, and that is what I think is in this way an automatism. Or automatism is if you have learned to play an instrument, so you don't have to think how to put your fingers, but everything is going is going alone.
Yeah, it's very hard to avoid experience and skill.
Yeah.
You, especially if you're trained on an instrument.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that you shouldn't play the instrument that you know.
Yeah. So I think this instrument is every time new, and so you have to think to achieve the skill during your performance, and that maybe makes this what you say narrative, or this what you say this excitement, or this,
if it's a narrative, it's unintentional.
Yeah.
Like somebody wrote about a performance of mine once that it's a story because I was using a small doll and a small toy horse, not this one but another one, and they were doing something at the same time. So she thought it was a story about a girl and her pony and their relationship, and she was doing something with that. That was completely I didn't have any intention of doing that. But it, of course, narratives appear sometimes in the meeting of all these objects and all the associations and experiences and stories that you have yourself with them. Okay, because my stories and experiences make me choose to pick up one thing or not, of course. So,
yeah, what's going on in your head when you're playing? Is another question. Is there something going on, or are just getting into the trance and into the flow, and you just are inspired by the sounds, and then you go on, you take a next object and you continue, or you take your experiences, this sounds like this and this sounds like that, what you are thinking during performing?
Yeah, well the reason I say I think it's music, because for me there is a musical flow in it. How long I use a certain thing, and how I combine it with something else and so on. It's a musical flow inside.
Exactly.
But it's not only the sounds, it's also the attraction. Like every object has a magnet. It attracts me to do something with it. And there's always, even here, it's always something that I don't use. So there's more than it's possible to do using the phone.
How do you know that it's over?
Well, there is one thing is the intuitive clock inside that respect for the audience. maybe this is enough, and also that I think I like a certain place to stop. So
Yeah.
I don't interrupt myself in something. I come into something that I think would be a good ending.
What are your experiences with audiences, with different audiences? I think for us here, for most of us, it is not, at least for me, it's not surrealistic in the way that I would be surprised or I would say, oh, I haven't heard it because I and we all here have experimented a lot. So for us, yes. I think it is not in a way surrealistic like it would be for some ordinary audience who are seeing or hearing, listening to such things the first time. How big is the role of the audience? How do you communicate to the audience, or how you feel you get something back from the audience, or what is the role of the audience for you?
Yeah, look, every individual in the audience have their own experiences. So it's for some of them it's like boring, heard it all before, and for some it's completely. What is this? This is not music. It's horrible. And for so it's all these different things. And I'm not responsible for that. So it could be.
Because that's society, yeah.
Yeah, that could be anything. But surrealist doesn't mean that it has to be totally surprising all the time. I mean, I like to surprise myself also, but as I said, there's also conservatism in the playing. That I maybe stop with some things just because I like the way to play, or the sounds, or the object, or something like that.
So you think that it's not important that your audience have to understand as special as a surrealistic performance. Did I understand you right? So that it's for you. You are conscious that it is surrealistic, but it's not important that the audience has to think.
No, they can think with it.
Yeah.
They do anyway.
One other question: do you also have played together with other sound artists or surrealists? Because you talked about group, if maybe some colleague has his own or her own set, and then you play together in duo or trio or whatever. Do you have done that, or you have only solo performed?
Well, lately I prefer to play solo a lot. I played with lots and lots of people before. In the improvised music circles, and sometimes also in the performance artist circles, and once in puppet theater environment. But there are not many serious musicians around. I mentioned Herr Rammel, and one that actually I was going to say one that died just a few years ago, Davy Williams from Alabama, a guitar player. He wrote some texts about music, quite a lot of texts actually in different aspects. And concerning automatism, one of the things he said that is something to think about maybe is that you can get into a state where the instrument plays you and not you. Or that the music plays.
Imagine that.
You spoke about work. Cooperation with musicians, but it's possible also to do something together with other mediums like art or dance or something else. I don't know what.
Yes, of course.
Poetry.
Yes.
Poetry.
Poetry is
I've done all kinds of things.
not so interesting. Maybe.
Yes, of course, absolutely. I work with dancers.
You mainly play instruments, but also singing or some voice.
Yes.
We
Not
in
singing.
inner singing.
Not singing, but voice.
Voice, yes. Voice. I would also prefer voice to sing. So I've been also active a little bit with, like you, with sound poetry and improvised voice. Not so often as I would wish to, but I like it also.
One more question. Of course, maybe I'm very influenced from tradition, from classical music. I have maybe I was very excited when I learned to play fugues from Bach and think about polyphony. Because this instrument seems that it's more prefers this linear way of thinking. So the sounds come one after each other. But is it possible to develop this instrument to have much more sounds in the vertical together with I don't know what mechanisms?
Yeah, but I also played a lot, at least two sounds at the same time.
It was not only monophonic, of course.
Yeah.
It was like so you have this like this, and there was like a type of overlapping heterophony or something like that. If I want to classify or express myself with this classical music theory terms, what of course might be not adequate for this music.
And one point also that if you allow, I suggest there is a very big possibility of visual part here that you don't use merely only what we see already in the first glance. But you may also make some movements but no noise.
I saw some.
Yeah, there was.
Yeah, there was.
What it says.
Oval
thing.
Yeah.
It has a very quiet sound in the air.
I also wanted to say that.
But there was sound. Very quiet, but there was sound.
Yeah.
It wasn't also sometime. This oval thing was on the board, then it made noise, but in the air it did without noise.
In the air, yeah.
In the air it made also sound quiet.
Actually, one time I had a few times actually. I had a lecture about nothing, which is a very interesting subject actually. And one of the times I had all my setup, but it didn't connect to the amplifier. And I tried to make a concert with just movements, with the things that I usually make sound with.
Interesting.
And it was very hard.
Hard, but
Yeah.
I guess it's hard but interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah,
Yes.
but for me it was really hard.
Then you have
I don't know.
very quiet sounds, and if you have a very concentrated
But no
audience,
sounds.
no sound.
I also
Just
wanted
like
But
moving things.
But it's neat, the sound.
That was like a puppet theater, but without sound. So.
For me, it was also very interesting a place when, especially this, when it was no sound one moment, and also this moment when you took this square, what was yellow, and in the air you made with both.
This one, yeah.
this
At
was
the
in
camp.
the picture.
Yes.
And
For me
it was
it's
like once like very important place suddenly that we don't hear it from there. Because you get used to it, it's almost maybe it tires us. We every day hear some amplified or some
Yeah, I think I very
music and here it was absolutely, of course, necessary because then we can more enjoy also this.
I
songs,
very
but,
enjoyed.
but suddenly it was very, very, clearly some. For you, it was maybe some. Kuidas juhuslik on? Random moment, but but suddenly it was very different. And here it worked because we are so near actually, and if you're somewhere far away, then it's not maybe working.
Yeah.
But how important is the speaker position here? You have put it now like this. It's quite unusual that it comes from sides, but all the activity takes place in the middle. Have you considered also different loudspeaker configurations?
It's because I like to have people close and from all sides.
So, but you take into account that the sound comes in from a completely different place than there. So people have to look and then, but their ears have to be.
You separate action and sound source.
Yeah, most of the sounds come from both speakers, but the contact microphones are on different sides. So there is a little bit of stereo.
Yeah.
So
maybe they can hear it.
But most of it comes from both sides.
Yeah, but you separate what people see and from where it comes. Okay, from this. Okay, it comes from there too. But does it play a major role for you, or could we just put the loudspeakers beneath the desk?
Yeah, most of the time I prefer to have loudspeakers coming from the sound source. So, but I also prefer. Now it wasn't very loud, but I also prefer to have to hear the loudest sounds myself. So I don't torture anyone that happens to sit
Do you sometimes project this activity to some wall or something for people to see? If there is no possibility to come near.
I've tried a few times, but it's a bit difficult actually, because even if you project it, it's still hard to see what I actually do. So the best thing is actually to have a live filmer.
Somebody who is following you. Then it makes sense.
For a larger hall, then have live camera.
I meant it.
Because I think it's in these things is a very important thing. Your movements with the hand is corporeality of this way of performing. And if you have an audience with 500 people, then you need to have it on live camera. I think for to convey this important part of the performance to all the audience.
But sometimes it was good to just close eyes and try to just be this soundscape. Because if you are really here all the time, you are aware of I don't know, your shoes or somebody else. Sometimes it's good to just listen to actually.
But then it can happen that the sound you create with these things can sound like something completely different.
So and you want to see what happened.
So and then it can be that it becomes close to Foley techniques in film. So how much you consider? How important is it for you that we have this object or these two objects making sound together, and then how important it is that it is especially this material or these objects, or do you consider that the sound could sound completely different from what they look at before.
Yeah, you don't usually expect. You can't always tell if you look at an object what sound is being made.
Maybe you can say it better because you have some experience. But how important is it for you that the visual, the tactile, and the sounding identity should stay together, or is it for you okay that it may drift apart?
It's completely okay. It's more fun if it's something that you completely doesn't associate with the object.
Because then you could do it, maybe you can do it partly in complete darkness. Nobody sees anything. And to just create a soundscape.
But there was something also still about kind of cognitive crash. Sling chopsticks make that kind of sound. That looks to me like
Of course, I have experienced a lot of these things, but I think the last performances we had last year in arts, I think it was Juri Landman, but maybe it's not. One he used if you buy this Coca-Cola bottles or this soda drink bottles, and you don't open them, and then you heat them and amplify them.
Yes.
It's a completely unexpected sound, very, very tiny and very. But as you open them, then they have no sound anymore.
Yeah, no.
You know this?
Yeah.
Because it's pressure. It's plastic bottles, pressure.
It's maybe with the carbon dioxide pressure.
The carbon dioxide pressure makes this water reacting completely different, unexpected, and might be there will be found very unexpected sound behaviors also in future. I think it might be possible.
Yeah. I usually do that before I open a can. I play around with this a little bit.
Other question is, of course, I really enjoyed this pure, just amplified sound. But what do you think about live electronic effects? Have you made experiments, or it is not that what you need?
I've used it a little bit, but I've tried lots of different things, but I don't feel I need it.
Yeah.
Because there's so much you can do with this.
Yeah. Of course, mostly you see these artists, they use some loopers and then make very loud noise with that. Here I enjoy these sounds as like they are, and this pureness of the sound. It's not often that I have heard things like that.
Yeah, I really prefer to, if I make a loop of something, I really prefer it to be manual.
Yeah.
I make a loop myself all the time. And no machine at all.
Yeah.
Because the machine takes over immediately.
The machine makes really with microsecond preciseness.
Yes.
Yeah. And this is completely it's a different world like this.
Completely, and then it totally takes over, and it's the same with echoes and reverb. If you use it too much.
Through mathematical.
Yeah, with this electronic precisement.
I'm not against it. I'm not against anything, but I mean, it doesn't attract me.
Yeah.
I also must say that I watched it. It's quite multidimensional, so I watched it. It's very embodied performance. So I became very aware that you have two arms. So it's and even the techniques. So it's like I watched it as a dance performance almost. Of course, other things as well, but like how you keep this thing going, and then the other arm, what can we do? And then it was once it was like a vision like that you have more arms and they all go around there. And but we actually have two arms as humans.
That's having a polyphony.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would like to have lots of arms.
Yeah.
But also using this contact microphone instruments, you can actually use your fingers. And do more than two things at the same time. Sometimes I do that. Sometimes I have 4 or 5 things going on at the same time with the fingers. But it depends on what it is, if it's possible.
Yeah.
I have a question again, maybe about your position as surrealist and about improvisation. So my question is, can for you this kind of composed music, what we can perform actually again and again and again, can this kind of music be for you surrealistic at all? Or it is some neatness, not this kind of automatism, because surrealism is based in some kind of idea of automatism. Only improvised music can be surrealistic, or how you think about this?
No, not only improvised music, and I don't like to say that improvised music is surrealist music or surrealist music is improvised music, because it's not true. I mean, the surrealist state could happen when you compose, and the surrealist state could happen when you listen. It's like two separate things.
Okay.
If it happens at the same time, okay. You have a sort of surrealist meeting with the composer, but it's not only creating but also experiencing.
Okay, and also a question about this automatism. Maybe we understand this word today a little differently as this very first surrealists used this or understand it, because it was some time of all the system theory started to be, but now we have long of experience and long of history about this, what is automatism and what is automata at all. So maybe it seems that Breton, for example, thought a little different with this word. It is only my some hypothesis, so that maybe we ask now question about automatism in our position, but Breton understanding of this word was a little different. But still, okay, when we use this word, and when we talk now about some composed music, what is performed again and again, can we then talk about some kind of automatism? Or is automatism used when music is in some way ready as composition and only some performing process start? What is your point? Or
I don't think really it's a relevant question, because the composition is only set sound structures. It's only a structure.
Of course, it is different as some art, this visual artwork. We have only this, and I don't know. Maybe we can copy of course this picture. We can make when it is some digital. When this composition itself is digital, we can make copies.
Or analog graphics.
No, whatever. But can we talk then about automatism, or it is automatism disappear in this moment when we start to make copies?
The automatism is something related to humans doing something. And also experiencing something.
During
So-
creative process.
Yeah, that's why surrealists never talk about surrealist art or surrealist music. And it's a meaningless thing. If you mean with music or an art objects. I mean, a painting is just a canvas with some paint on it. That's all.
So you think that about artwork itself is impossible to identify that this artwork is surrealistic or not?
Absolutely. Yes.
We only need the position. We have to know position of creator.
Yes.
Okay. That's a good point. Yeah.
But isn't there also that the automatism is just sort of a technique? And for example, in dance, to get to this place that is not just improvised when you are having some principles and you play with your principles, but real automatism when you are, then for example, there is a technique like you just improvise 4 hours and we videotape you, then you got like so tired and you just kind of keep doing things you don't anymore have energy more than just keep doing. And then maybe you look at it and you extract this more cooler parts and you just use this practice and then you put it together somehow, but it's, yeah, maybe it's not immediately anything surrealist art, but it's an automatism is used as a technique or something.
Technique is a little bit yeah, because maybe we have to remember two things. That one is that what automatism is a word that is borrowed from spiritualists. That they used. They called automatism when people from Saturn spoke to them, and they made them write in different Saturn hieroglyphs or Saturn images and so on. And so it's the feeling that you don't use your own ego to create something, but you are
channeling something.
Exactly. Yeah, channeling another force.
And that's maybe the exhaustion is a way to get there. That's what I mean. Like, is there a technique to get to this, or there is, you know, the different drugs maybe, or some ways to get to that place where you feel like the Saturn is speaking.
Yeah, I think it's probably some kind of mental training to make you able to do that.
Yeah, or meditation.
Or make you able to think that you do that.
Yeah.
Because surrealism stripped away all the spiritual ideas in that sense. It's an atheist movement, completely without any supernatural ideas. But it was at the time also inspired by psychoanalysis, which is similar in the sense that you separate the subconscious from the conscious. So if you think that you have a technique to let out the unconscious, then and without the control of the ego, then you would have a more sort of genuine flow that makes you do something, create something, or act at all. So maybe some people are more able to get into that state. I think the idea to separate the subconscious from the conscious in the psychoanalytic sense, it's not useful anymore. But there are states that could be automatist in another sense that that your care for what you do has a poetic drive, poetic attraction. And that could be any kind of action. Also composing or selecting clips from a video or so on.
Like breathing also, you know, it does something to us, this kind of maybe the worry, and when you get too much, you know, even into this, like I have to do that. But I'm just asking you, do you have any practices that you do before or in relation to your instrument? Because it's very physical. Do you have any, or do you practice, or you prepare yourself?
You drink coffee.
Oh yeah, that was clear. that was yes. Just
all that for coffee. Break is very important.
Was it coffee?
No, not anymore. Maybe it's because just I'm used to it. So. Just a little bit of silence and concentration.
Yeah, one more question. How did you come up with the idea to swallow the microphone? And this became the surrealist moment for me. I thought, oh, okay. And then it becomes biological. So you are starting to play with your own body, with the sounds you can get them when you have the microphone there. Tell us more about how this idea was born.
Yeah, I've been working with contact microphones very long time, and I read that some people make what they call hydrophones. With contact microphones covered with something that makes them watertight.
Yeah.
So for me it was always it's possible to swallow a contact mic if you just cover it with something.
Okay.
And
if it's not too big, it's still big for me. I think I would not be able to swallow it.
Yeah, I have another one which is a little bit smaller. So this I also made. This I also made just a few days ago. It's a little bit bigger, and I was thinking, can I really swallow this?
Okay.
But I've done also gastroscopy, you know.
Yeah.
Which is a big, horrible thing. The whole camera that you have to swallow to get into the stomach. Because it's the best way to look at the heart. So it was looking at the heart in this way. So I thought, if I can do that, I can do this.
Okay.
That's how it was quite your heartbeat, yeah.
Yeah, it's very close to the heart, the stomach. So you hear the heartbeat a lot. And I was looking for a material which doesn't hurt the body and at the same time doesn't get destroyed by the acids in the stomach. And I discovered that silicone works.
Yeah, silicone is soft.
Yeah. So I covered it with silicone.
Okay.
That's all. So that, but I also had to experiment with what kind of sounds that you can get out of the stomach. And the heartbeat is easy because it's strong and close. And you can also hear some the stomach is working. Also, you can hear sometimes the rhythm of this because it's massaging the food. Because it passes along the thing. But carbon dioxide you can hear very clearly. And somebody suggested to me this exploding candy. It works really well.
So you are, it's being on the edge between something very serious like be swallowing the camera for any purpose to get your health back also, and some kind of child play thing. So is it something you have thought about it, or also the other things? If you play here around, I remember myself playing all the time with these things. With my brother, we have played always from childhood onwards. We have
without contact microphones.
Without, of course, contact microphones, but we have explored such sounds. But other people would say, "Oh, don't do it. I hate it." Also, and so there's the dimension of exploring things like a child. And then I also heard some ancientness. If you have just some strings and they are tuned, whatever microtonal, then this can be also some kind of ancient vibe, how to say, of an ancient harp or whatever. But then it was quite extreme when you started to swallowing this thing, which becomes quite performative, like a performance artist. And what is then the idea? You can say, of course, for an normal audience, it would be even more shocking than for us. But have you? What are your thoughts?
I don't know, except I'm not sure if this is music or performance art. Maybe it's a performance piece.
I think it's both.
I think also it's both.
Yeah.
It's just you become the instrument, and
Maybe it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And I would like to say that today's performance I liked very much more than this you did in December 2021 in Tartu at the Koidula 100. And I thought that I wanted to understand why, and I think that it's because the context there was so different and a bit too academic, and therefore the contrast between the others and you was too big. And therefore, not only me, but others also, they had too big these turns that they were not able to understand what's happening. But today, absolutely not. And
was the performance really different then? What we have to make in Tartu?
It was different in the setting was academic, as you say.
And the one part of the what was done in Tartu and here today was the similar, what you swallowed. But the performance was the same.
No.
But you didn't do these instruments.
No.
This swallowing you did.
Because first they have this lecture about
lecture was
Malaban in Stockholm and so on, and then I played because I also talked about the text sound composers from filmi.
Yes.
And I performed this piece which was an homage to Sten Hansson.
Yes.
With his toothpick. So I did this toothpick performance followed by this, actually.
And the second thing that I wanted to say that I very much liked you, what you said that there is no surrealistic art and surrealistic music. I wanted to, I said it also in our to Arnold and somebody else, but they didn't. I don't know if they didn't agree, but they didn't. They were not sure that it is so, and therefore I'm very happy that you also said the same. A bit maybe different way, but in general the same. Thanks.
The question is easy that surrealism has some history. So surrealism is not only pure conception. In literature and in visual art and also in cinema, we have some works what have some kind of intention to be surrealistic. So surrealistic in this context is property. Jean Andalous surrealistic cinema, so it is property of this film. Of course, maybe more other properties. Because I only was a little confused, because how we then can to talk about these artworks when these artworks are not surrealistic. So no, of course,
Breton, for example, had made this big book which was expanded over the years, called Surrealism and Painting. Surrealism and Painting, not surrealist painting. So it's about surrealists that do painting, and their different attitudes and how they work. So in that sense, I mean, for an art historian, they have to know what to do with all these paintings that are made by surrealists. So they have to put them in a category. So it's not very surprising. Of course, it's like that. So they call it surrealist art. Surrealists never do that, but art historians have to do it. What else can they do?
And it is one point, and other point is that is surrealism then something very unique, because we still speak about futurist art or some kind of Dadaistic art or whatever, modern art or whatever. But when we now don't stop to talk about surrealistic art, what is surrealism then? So it was only question of me. So it is some religion or it is some kind of Weltanschauung or what is that then? So because I was a little confused, of course.
Yes. Many people.
But can you just say, like you as surrealist, you're belonging to this group, and what makes you a surrealist? Maybe just some clear things, if possible. Just is it possible?
Just a few bullet points.
No, something. Yes.
Probably because I'm a member of this group.
Yeah. And what are the others like?
We are Schönbergists because we are member of Schönberg Society. Just a joke, don't take it too seriously.
It's hard to say that.
Yeah. It's not the same to be a member in a society as to be a member of this type of...
Yeah, but why did your group choose to call yourself a surrealist group? What were these reasons?
I think we formed most all because of one that was very influential, Bruno Jacobs, in the beginning, and actually for the 60 years anniversary of Surrealism, he made a small compilation of translations of active surrealist groups, which he knew about at the time, which was Chicago and a group in Australia, and translated 3 of those texts by himself, and thought nobody cares.
So that means
but then after a few years, maybe 2 years after, somebody found this little pamphlet, Surrealism 60 years, and but because he decided he's a surrealist, and they got in touch. They didn't know each other at all. He's called Matthias Forshage, and then some other people were interested in different friends of those people, and we began to have meetings and began to have contacts, international contacts, and discussing a lot, reading a lot of text, and doing games and experiments and so on. And after some time, we decided we'll form this group. We'll decide we are a surrealist group.
So it means that this is a very important point, is some sort of historical continuity. So you share the ideas with coming from Repoo and this first surrealist, and you try to establish some continuity of this way of how to think about how to practice.
Partly maybe. But I don't agree with every surrealist around in the history and in the present, and I don't like everyone, but most of them I like. But some of them have their different preconceptions that I don't like. Of course, we don't agree with everything, and it develops. And things are discussed, what is about automatism, for example, and what place does it have today, what is it really, and about psychoanalysis, and if that's acceptable or not. Some people really like psychoanalysis still. So, and for me, I left it. But I think it's different for every person, but for me it was very much a group where I had the feeling I could speak freely. In some sense, that was very important for me, and not to have.
Not to be put into a box also.
Not to be limited by.
And maybe that is maybe a bit similar when we with Gerhard came to Estonia. We found that we are here artistically free, and in Germany there's too much of dogmatism, especially in contemporary music.
This was a kind of surrealism.
I have to say also that lots and lots of people that feel that they have the surrealist sensibility, they don't belong to a group. Maybe most people don't belong to a group. Even in cities where there actually is an active group. So it's very. Not everyone is group people. Some people.
Thank you very much. It was
Thank you.
really good. Thank you.
These are our dancers, and it were very nice if you made something together with them, or something like them. Somebody, it were very nice. I guess it were something special. think about it.
It would be, you want to say, it would be interesting to work together. Not only dancers, but also musicians and using sensors and such things too. It's mixed between movement and sound, so that's why it's easy to cross the borders with these guys. And she saw you making a choreography with your hands. I also saw. It's not just functional movement, but it was something.
Yeah, it is.
It became part of how you do this.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been interested in dance for a very long time, and I was attracted very much to the Buto movement. Because
Japanese movement.
yes, because Buto uses a poetic method.
Yeah.
They don't say lift the arm in this way and then take one step forward. They never do that. They use as inspiration words, images, sounds, something to inspire something else, something to inspire to shape the body, to get into the body. Yeah. And they also
some sort of unconscious method, I think.
Not unconscious totally, but they also
intuitive.
They also really work with taking away the personality, taking away the ego first, and then like empty the body and then fill it with these influences. It's quite special, but it's in a way it's a poetic method. It's very interesting.
Is it related to Zen Buddhism or to some of this idea?
No, not symbolism. Maybe they use symbolism is another question.
Zen Buddhism.
Zen Buddhism.
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 No. They consider themselves as an avant-garde movement.
Oh.
At least in the beginning, in the late 50s.
It's very young.
But if you look at them from the outside, you can see there are Japanese traditional influences.
Yeah.
Sort of.
At one moment, when you played here, I imagined that if you could have really a big instrument and you could be inside this instrument or move around, and I think you mentioned that you wanted to build a bigger instrument also.
Yeah.
So
reality.
Yeah. So at one moment I saw it. It would be cool to see you inside this.
Yes, of course. But this is a compromise with Ryanair.
Yeah. Of course.
That was also the idea.
Then it would become if we see you inside an instrument, it would be a little bit come close to this Harry Partch and this big instruments and the idea of corporality, that making a sound is not that the sound physically vibrates on, but you have to make the action, and the action is the action to excite the string or to start to make a sound is as same as important as the vibrating sound itself.
Yes.
And I think you see similarities, and that is completely different from, of course, purely electronic generated sound, where the corporeal reality is completely absent. So that making sound means body action. And I think this I saw here in all your performance.
It's funny. I read Harry Partch's short, his own version of music history, where he's contrasting all the time corporeality with the abstract.
Yeah, in the book in the beginning as well.
Yeah, he has a point. But I have some instruments that actually involves the body very much.
Yeah.
one instrument is I'm hanging in strings from the ceiling.
Yeah.
And only 2 strings and play on them at the same time.
Yeah.
So that's very very corporeal.
Yeah.
I had actually a question about instruments generally. So first question is that when you divide in some way your attitude from your instrument, what you make, so what you use, so can also some other use your instrument, and also without any surrealistic approach? Is it possible that somebody else start now use your instrument and absolutely without any surrealistic in some other way? So have you played this kind of some idea?
At least 3 times I've played this instrument together with other people.
But what was the difference then?
Only the experience that they are unusual with the instruments. So what they do is maybe much more experimental than what I did, because they're not used to using this object.
Okay. But nothing special difference. So for you, because it sounds still as it sounds. So it is And it's one question. Another question, when we take also,
but of course it doesn't sound like when I'm playing.
Yeah, of course. No, it is because different persons play different. Yeah.
Yes.
And the other question is also about so-called traditional instrument, for example, piano. As I understand, you have long experience also to be piano tuner, builder, or so that. Can you maybe describe some kind of surrealistic piano playing or surrealistic approach to piano? What kind for you can be this?
Well, I'm attracted to a lot of piano players, like Cecil Taylor for a long time, Sun Ra, Duke Ellington,
so all are jazz pianists.
Yeah, lots of jazz.
Not classical.
I would say maybe Cecil Taylor is really special. For me, it's.
But can you describe a surrealistic approach to piano? What kind can be this kind of play?
Well, it's the same if you talk about the surrealist approach in general. So it's I don't think it's anything special for piano or any other instrument, or whatever you choose as an instrument.
Okay, so it is only in some kind of level of thinking. So it is not playing itself.
No.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't have any tips.
Yeah. Okay.
But if you would construct a piano like Dali's clock melted clocks, if you would construct a piano which would look like Dali, would make this
Kolani piano.
would it make this a surrealistic piano, or is it just transmitting of Dali's aesthetics to an instrument that would have a different shape as we know, and then it's changed into something strange.
Yeah, but that's on the visual plane then.
But maybe it sounds a bit differently.
The Liit never made any music.
Yeah.
As far as I know.
Yeah.
It's a piano like sculpture, not a piano.
It's a sculpture, and it then makes sounds. Of course,
like
if it makes
What
sounds.
sound?
Yeah, what sound? Yeah.
What sound? This is my question now.
Yeah.
But as I understand, this logic now is that it can be whatever sound. So the question is not in sound itself. So sound can be surrealistic itself. Understand I write your point now?
Yes, of course.
Yeah. So question is more about approach of composer. When composer tell that okay, my music is surrealistic, then it is surrealistic, or it is surrealistic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if it works with Dali, that we know that a clock looks like that, and then Dali has painted it differently. It's distorted, so it plays with our expectations. And then if we build a piano that is distorted, it makes maybe also distorted sounds. There's in YouTube, there's a Swedish guy who's manipulating pianos a lot, and so
this guy I know.
Kranz, I think is his family name. I don't, Markus Kranz or so. And but in fact he's never really playing something. He's inviting other pianists and testing the piano, and he has always surprises. Once he filled a piano with water, and then he wanted to explore how a piano sounds when it's filled with water. So, but he himself doesn't make music in our sense of creating a piece or improvising also. Yeah. So maybe if this guy would start really improvising with what he has created, which is distorted pianos, then maybe it becomes surrealistic. Otherwise, it's just.
He sometimes, I think, plays some pop music.
Yeah, some pop music thing, but he's not doing such thing like free improvisation or like these things. But if I imagine now a distorted piano or whatever in whatever sense, and then this guy would say, I'm a surrealist, then we easily could believe him. Or what do you think?
I mean, in the 60s, obviously, the piano, and especially the black piano, was a symbol of conservatism.
Yeah.
There were lots of performance pieces, like Fluxus, for example, that made pieces for piano that doesn't sort of destroy the authority of the piano.
Yeah, with cage and prepared piano, of course.
Prepared piano and for ordinary people painting the piano. In low color. And actually piano manufacturers also started to make pianos in other colors, and black or nutmeg or all these traditional things. And but as a piano tuner, I've been thinking a lot about the tuning systems also. The tuning systems that we use, the standard tuning system today, is a historical compromise product of the Romantic period.
Exactly.
Yeah, and it's been very practical in that sense. It allows modulations in all different kinds of keys, and it can be used. It's a standard form of using the harmonic circle, what we call a chord circle.
Circle of fifths.
Yeah, circle of fifths in pop music and all kinds of popular music.
Do you know Ben Johnston's microtonal piano suite?
Ben Johnston.
Yeah.
I know the
He
name.
tuned the piano in harmonic overtone series and wrote this, I think 5 or 6 pieces of this Microtama suite. And if you hear a piano like this, I was surprised by myself that it sounds not anymore like a piano. It sounds something like say extraterrestrial instrument for me. And I understood how it could be possible that just the tuning determines the sound what we have learned of a piano.
Yes.
Because in Music Academy in Tallinn, I called the piano tuner and tuned my synthesizer after this Ben Johnston tuning and let him tune our secondary piano in our sound studio, what nobody uses, into that, and that convinced me. It was not just from the recording. It was really sounding like this extraterrestrial sound. Just if you use the harmonic series and we have the 7 and 11 harmonics, what we are totally not in use, and it sounds completely different. And it was some surprise for me, maybe. Is this surreal?
I worked as a piano tuner once together with a composer in Berlin, who also uses this idea of.
Who was it?
Catherine Lamb.
Yeah.
And because she's been exploring this for a long time.
Yeah.
And but lots of people have tried, but it's a lot of work on the piano to do that. It's much easier with other instruments.
Yeah. Yeah, I cannot do it by myself. I call it piano tuner.
Yeah. And we discovered actually the problem. One of the problems with the piano is if we get very technical here, is that you can't choose all the harmonics. You have to decide which one to use.
Yeah, of course, you have only the 12 strings in the octave,
and another thing is that you can't rely on ordinary mathematics. At least not when it's a piano. You can actually hear the difference between tuning according to how the strings sound and what the mathematics say about the harmonic series. Because it's different when you apply it on the piano, because you have the stiffness of the strings, which makes the harmonic series shift a little bit.
Yeah, it's piano, especially in the higher and in the lower register, it's inharmonic.
Yeah.
It's a little bit inharmonic.
Yeah.
And that, of course, that might be, it might be in contradiction if you want to make an harmonic tuning. Yeah, that is clear.
So then you have to compromise anyway, in another way.
Yeah. I just let him to play. I played I programmed the synthesizer, and then just one by one octave, and then he tuned all the octaves in the same way. So we didn't thought about this. Is just for pedagogic purposes. For instance, I show these Ben Johnston pieces in my microtonal music lecture class, and I demonstrate. I play in this tuning. You have C major and G major is absolutely mathematically pure, 4 by 5 by 6. So and then if I play on the other piano, what is 12 tone equal, and I play it on this just in tone piano, you can listen absolutely beating free. And that is some experiences what is mostly new for the students on the piano, because of course if you tune a string orchestra, then you will have as a string player the experience of a mostly beatless major triad can achieve that.
Okay, thank you. It was absolutely
Thank you.
great. Thank you.